Praise be to Allah, who has prescribed fasting as a mercy and purification, making it a means for forgiveness and elevation in ranks. May peace and blessings be upon the best of those who fasted and prayed, our Prophet Muhammad, and upon his family and companions. Fasting is a great act of worship that Allah has ordained for his servants and made it one of the pillars of Islam. It disciplines the soul, strengthens the will, and cultivates patience. This discussion we will briefly cover the rulings of fasting, its conditions, invalidators, recommended acts, permissible exemptions, and how to make up missed fasts. A simplified explanation of fasting, Sawm in Islam. 1. Definition and ruling of fasting. Fasting is abstaining from anything that breaks the fast from dawn until sunset with the intention of worship. The obligation of fasting in Ramadan is established by the Quran, Sunnah, and consensus. Denying it is considered apostasy. 2. Pillars of fasting. Attention, Niyyah. Abstaining from eating, drinking, and all invalidators of fasting. The types of fasting. Obligatory includes Ramadan, vows, and expiations. Required, such as making up missed Ramadan fasts. Voluntary, such as fasting on Mondays and Thursdays. 4. Conditions for the obligation of fasting. Islam, puberty, sanity, capability, and being free from menstruation and postpartum bleeding. 5. Excuses permitting breaking the fast. Illness, if recovery is expected, one must make up the fast. If chronic, one must feed a poor person for each missed day. Travel, permitted to break the fast, but must make it up later. Pregnancy and breastfeeding, allowed to break the fast, with either making it up later or feeding the poor, depending on the harm. Menstruation and postpartum bleeding, fasting is prohibited and must be made up later. 6. Things that invalidate fasting. Eating or drinking intentionally. Sexual intercourse requires expiation, deliberate ejaculation, menstruation and postpartum bleeding. Intentional vomiting. 7. Recommended acts during fasting. Hastening to break the fast and delaying suhoor. Breaking the fast with dates or water. Supplicating at iftar. Increasing charity and acts of worship. Disliked acts during fasting. Excessive rinsing of the mouth and nose. Seeing if it may lead to breaking the fast. Eating food without necessity. 9. Making up missed fasts. If broken due to a valid excuse, it must be made up after the excuse ends. If broken without an excuse, one must repent and make it up immediately. Determining the beginning and end of Ramadan. Begins with the sighting of the new moon or completing 30 days of Shaban. It ends with the sighting of the new moon of Shawwal. This is a simplified explanation of fasting. If you need more details, let me know in the comments. Fasting is a profound spiritual act that purifies the heart, strengthens self-discipline, and reminds Muslims of Allah's blessings and the hardships of the less fortunate. Islam has facilitated this obligation by providing allowances and rulings that consider different circumstances. We ask Allah to enable us to fast Ramadan with faith and sincerity and to accept our deeds. If you have any questions regarding the rulings of fasting, feel free to ask.